Happy Thursday, everybody. We're going to do some rabbit hunting today. I'm going to show you how to cut a rabbit joint on the table saw. And, one of the cool things about woodworking is there are like 11 billion different ways to skin the woodworking cat. So when you're ready to cut a rabbit, you could do a rabbiting fence on a joiner. We could do this on a router table. We could do it with a dado head and a table saw. What I like about this is a couple things. Maybe you don't own a joiner with a rabbiting table. Maybe you don't own a router table. Maybe you don't own a dado head. Or a lot of the benchtop table saws, you can't put a dado head on those. They won't tolerate it. So knowing how to do this on a table saw with just a single blade is a great skill to have. That being said, if I'm looking to rabbit miles of stuff, I'm going to look for an alternate way that's faster, which would be a router table or a jointer or a dado head. But when you only have to do a couple rabbits, or if this is your only choice, this is where this really pays off. So there are a couple keys to this. One is that the guard is off the saw, but I have the riving knife in. So you always want to keep the riving knife in when you can. Part of the key to this, you're going to see me use brass bar stock, and that makes this really, really, really simple to set up. So what I'm going to do for starters is I'm going to do a 3/8 by 3/8 rabbit. So the key to that is not so much the dimension as the fact that it's the same dimension in both directions. So width of the rabbit and height of the rabbit are both identical. All right, Chris, if you switch us, Chris is managing the splitter for me today. I've got the computer on my saw stop shut off so it can't run. So brass bar stock, 3/8 bar stock. What we have to do here is get the height of the blade set. I'm making the carbide even with the top of the bar stock. And the cheat here would be, it can be even or just a little bit too high is okay. Then remember, we're the same in both directions. So now I'm going to use the bar stock to position the fence. And this is a little weird. Maybe you're not quite used to this, which is when I do this step, I'm not putting the bar stock in between. I need 3/8 to be from the face of the fence to this, to my left side of the saw blade. And again, if I allow those teeth to project a little past the bar stock, that's okay. If the bar stock is past the teeth, that's not going to work. So I'm going to tap back just a little bit, and I'm just feeling that. I can feel the carbide is just a little past the bar stock. Now, the way you're going to cut this is your material is going to go against the fence like that. And then the same face that was down is then going to go against the fence, and you're going to make another pass. You want to be very cognizant of the fact that the waste wood we're leaving behind will be here between the blade and the fence. So my body position is such that I'm not directly behind the fence here, because that little piece might come zinging out. So I want to make sure that my body position is off to the side like this. So computer back on. Saw stop is still thinking. There we go. That's your first pass. Now flip, rotate. So you see that move just a little, so it didn't come out like a spear. But again, you want to be cognizant of the fact that this can come back towards you. The result is that. So that rabbit now is 3/8 by 3/8. So let's do just like that, but different. Let's do something a little bit different. Computer back off so I can get my fingers in here again. So let's say we want to go 1/4 by 1/2. So it's just sequence of events, order of operations. I'm going to start with the 1/4. not the currency, the 1/4-inch bar stock. And again, even with or slightly beyond. Then, because we're going 1/4 by half, put that one away, grab the half, and the process is the same. Use this to position the fence by leaving just a little carbide right there, like that. Now, step one is the same. Waiting for the computer to tell me everything's hunky-dory. There we go. Now, in this case, because we're doing different dimensions, we can't just flip and cut until we reset. So computer off again. The reset now is because we did 1/4-inch in the horizontal position first. Now we do 1/2 inch in the horizontal position. Top of the blade is even width or slightly above the bar stock. Then find my 1/4-inch bar stock. There it is. Then use this to position the fence. So it's just like what we just did, but it's got an extra step because our resulting rabbit isn't square, it's rectangular. Waiting for the computer to tell me we're okay. And then again, our offcut is going to be in there. So just be cognizant of that being there. Don't reach for that. Just let it do its thing. Let the blade stop, then take that out. So same concept. Obviously, we've still got a rabbit, but in this case, 3/8 by 3/8. In this case, 1/4 by half. Now, when I'm talking about even with or slightly beyond, what I can see here, and may not quite be showing up for you, is that the saw blade is cutting just a little beyond that flat. And in this direction, the saw blade is cutting a little this way beyond that flat. And that's okay, because typically in a rabbit like this, maybe you're making a picture frame or something. Where I'm going with this is you're not going to see the end grain. If I'm mitering this and the next one and the next one, we're burying that rabbit. So the fact that the saw blade is cutting slightly beyond that rabbit depth is not going to show up anyplace. And what it does is it makes this a little bit easier to do. If the blade is too low, when you do your double pass, you're not going to get that chunk of waste wood out. It's still going to be in there. By having the blade just a little bit too high, we know we're going to remove that waste wood. All right, Chris, let's jump back to 1. Thank you, very nice. See if you folks have preguntas. So unrelated to this, James says, what do you do to keep black walnut from bleaching out lighter? I've never had that happen. I haven't used a boatload of walnut in my woodworking. I'm looking around here to see if anything in here is made out of walnut. With this cutting board. So that's an end grain cutting board in walnut I put together over a year ago and just haven't finished yet. And that's still the same color as it was. So that's not, I haven't experienced a color change in walnut. David says, is it possible to use a dado stack on a saw stop without a dado brake cartridge in bypass mode? I don't think so. One of the things that happens, so if you're not familiar with saw stop, this has got flesh sensing technology on it. If the blade is spinning and I touch it, it activates a brake, which does 2 things. It stops the blade and it puts the blade below the table. And that works with 10-inch saw blades and 8-inch dado heads. It's a different cartridge. It's a different brake that you use between them. When I put a blade in here, one of the things it's looking for is proximity. So if I have the brake in there and it's too far from that 10-inch blade, when I say like the computer is telling me this is okay, there's a red and a green light, and they're capable of flashing in different combinations. If the brake is too far from the blade, it'll flash in a combination that tells me the brake position isn't correct. So with a dado head, 8-inch dado head, 10-inch brake, they're going to be an inch apart. It's just not going to allow you to run the saw. And it wouldn't be, you're obviously not getting the safety benefit of the saw stop when you don't have the correct brake in there. All right, I'm refreshing again. We're kind of short on questions today, which happens sometimes. Maybe that means that was such an effective teaching of cutting rabbets on the table saw, it didn't leave any questions unanswered. Again, dose of reality, this is slower than doing this with a dado head or a router bit in a router table. But if I'm only doing a rabbet, this is a really fast way to do it. If you can't put a dado head in your table saw, this is a great way to do it. I wouldn't want to do 11 billion picture frames this way because it would take forever. Then I would go to that router bit or dado head. So one more look here. It looks like we're set on questions. Sorry there was a snurfuffle on the time advertised for this initially, but we got you here at 11 o'clock. So thanks for watching. And Katie, you can punch us